why his grandfather adopted Arya Samaj. Because then I found those speeches of Dayanand, because Dayanand was called to Punjab for one particular purpose. And that purpose was that most of the Darbar Sahib, that Golden Temple area, people were putting statues in it. And the only voice which was against Murti Puja was Dayanand. But what he was talking was the same which was being that you must educate the girls and must give them. That was the progressive part of it. No shuashat, no casteism. That was Arya Samaj. And the third one is that your moksha, mukti, will not take place until the people's liberation is there. You cannot liberate yourself. So there was a revolutionary part of it. And that is a continuity, is part of social reform. There was no dogmatism at that time. Another thing which I interestingly found was that there were two brothers, Surjan Singh and Arjan Singh. They were the first delegate of the Congress when in 1893 Dadabhai Naoroji came to uh, address the Congress in Lahore. They actually traveled with them. That was on our record. So I was just trying to understand what were the issues Dadabhai Naoroji was raising. And that was actually the self-government, this Swaraj and Swadeshi was introduced by Ramesh Chandra Dutt, another first ICS officer who resigned and became economic professor. So that was evolution. So the religiosity, and there is a very interesting part which Bhagat Singh discovered through my mother, that then the changes after Jallianwala Bagh. What is not talked about is why Britishers became so cruel in Jallianwala Bagh. What was them frightening them? It was that number one, there is two histories of 1857 by Britishers. One is by Kai. He says that if in India the upper caste and lower caste get together and they rise above their religious divide, it is the end of the British rule. And that is what was happening in 1857. And he also says that it is the land reforms which has created the problem. There was a Thom's land reform. So that was the first warning. Then G.W. Forrester, another British officer who had the access to all personal records in Allahabad of the personal diaries of 1857 soldiers. So he concluded the same thing, that we administrators and historians are one on the view that if India is able to rise above the religion and caste divisions, that's the end of the British rule. That is why in 1905, this book is published in 1904, 1905 Bengal division takes place on same religious lines. The third observation was there is a Rowlatt report, the Rowlatt Act. Actually, they wanted to have a law by which they can repress all kind of radical movements. And that was only collection of the record. But in that also, when I was going through it, the Rowlatt actually quote a German scholar who says the same thing. That in India, if people rise above their religion and caste, well, that is the end of the British rule. So now what is happening? Well, how the transformation is taken? Because in 1916, Annie Besant and Tilak joined to have the unity in which the Muslim, Hindu, that was the resolution passed. Now here, when against Rowlatt Act, and Gandhi is sharp in that way, he understands because the Rowlatt Act, there was a difference of opinion between the Secretary of State and the Viceroy. Secretary of State doesn't wanted it because he was from the liberal group and Viceroy was from conservative. So that way, well, he raised the question that it should be withdrawn. He knew that they have a fissure. So we don't understand that, but it is a sharp, he knew that there is a difference between the two and we can be effective. Anyway, leaving that. So the first, when the call for Hartal came, people never joined. So it was a big issue with the political workers that why neither in Amritsar nor Lahore. So they found that people are very much distressed economically because of First World War. People don't have wheat. So that common kitchen was started in every mahalla. There were two times the food will be made, and then they will announce, and everybody will sit together and eat it. So now this forged a unity that on 9th April there was Ram Navami, and in the Ram Navami it was taken. It was there is a procession. The procession was led by a Muslim doctor, Dr. Bashir, because he was a very humanitarian or serving the people very dedicatedly. So he was chosen in Amritsar. And there was used to be division of water. They will say Hindu water, Muslim water. They say first time the water was common. So that unity actually made them the mad. The same thing happened in Lahore. These are the two big cities. And then the first killing actually took place on 10th of April. The procession, because they took away the two top leaders, people went to protest, and on just that also was peaceful, but there 20 people died. And then there is a meeting held in Lahore on 12th of April in a Shahi Masjid. See, the place is Masjid, and the meeting people are everybody. So when they were coming after a resolution that we must have a strike tomorrow, so then they were fired at. And the boy which was killed was Khushi Ram. Bhagat Singh writes a article about him. And Khushi Ram was actually out of the family. The Bhagat Singh's father and mother, they were running a house. We call it Yatim Khana. But that was everybody coming to the city who has nobody to look after. There were 22 youth. A few of them I met later and found. And so this boy Khushi Ram actually had 9 bullets in his chest. So now Bhagat Singh, as virtually he was almost a family member. Now when I found his article, he wrote in Kirti, he wrote it in Chand Ka Phansi. So and there the reference is that they were at that home. So that was the first question, that if peaceful people are being killed here, the narration which was being given by the British was that people revolted, so we have to fire on. That's the same story which these days come. So we have to fire, and 200 people died. So Bhagat Singh said that if it has been firing on the peaceful people in Lahore, let me go and check. And I usually say that his grandfather always trained him that don't listen to the news, go and verify it. And that is his first journalism is born in him. So he went there because after 15th April, the trains were being monitored, and but that means on the next very day, he took the initiative to just verify and brought the. And then there are two other events which are very important. One is the ban on this Namdari movement was removed in 1921, because that is another thing to be seen, that once they have done a blunder, so now they are trying to wash it out. So they are trying to leave some of the people from jail, as if there's a clemency by the king. So that was taking place. So Bhagat Singh came his father. There's a close by village here, Mathadda, and Bhagat Singh addressed that. That is why later on we find that 2 times he wrote on Namdari movement. So that is, and there, the very first word he used, there are movements which are to change the government, Raj Badlau, and there are Yug Badlau, that there are movements which transform the era. That is a revolutionary movement. I say that Namdari movement is a Yug Paltao movement. So that categorization itself is very interesting. And then in February 21, the same next month, there was a massacre in the birthplace of Guru Nanak. by the priests. So Gurdwara reform movement has started post Jallianwala Bagh, and there was 139 Sikhs who were burned alive, killed there. So Bhagat Singh goes there, and he finds that there was a one copy of Guru Granth Sahib kept there, which was because the leader of that group was actually reading Guru Granth Sahib. While he was sitting there, he was killed, and his blood split on that. So, for Bhagat Singh's mind, how it works, because that's my mother, he said that that means it is not only the misuse of the resources of Gurdwara, they don't want people to know what knowledge is there. And he learnt Gurmukhi, he somehow or other understood Guru Granth Sahib, and that was how my mother told me that after some months he came because he was in Lahore and she was in village. He said, Amro ki pad rahi hai? What are you reading? She said, I am reading only a selected out of it. He said, I have read the whole of, I have understood what Granth Sahib is. And he quoted two things out of it. One is the quotation by Kabir, that it doesn't matter you have the long hairs or you don't have the hairs. What matters is what you do. Well, your actions are important instead of just having the hair or not.